With that, Joel Klatt joins us live as we get ready for the game starting Thursday. Miami, Ole Miss. You know, I got to tell you, and I've been saying this about college basketball. College basketball had about a 20-year stretch where it was unwatchable because guys were going to Europe. It was one and done, and the European players weren't coming over. Then the NIL came. And suddenly now, the American universities go buy 15 Europeans. Europeans can't keep, like Spaniards now, they'll leave a Spanish league. They'll come over here and go play for Illinois. And then guys like Zach Edey, who are really good players, say, I'm going to stay at Purdue one more year. So so college basketball has been fortified with about 20 to 25 to 30 kids that instead of playing in, it could be Israel, it could be overseas, Lithuania, it could be Japan, it could be wherever, they just come back to college and make $3 million a year. So I think this is great for college football. Yeah. That Texas Tech kid who played at Cincinnati and Dante Moore, they could both play in the NFL now. They're going to come out with 15 more starts. You played the position in college. I love this for college football.
I do too. And by the way, it's going to make them better pros. This is not just about the money. It's also about the impact that they're going to have once they're NFL players. You and I have talked about this a lot. You look at the best players in the NFL, and in particular, the quarterbacks that win in the postseason and ultimately go on and win Super Bowls. You average out their college career and you've got 30 plus starts, 1,000 plus attempts, very experienced guys. In fact, the least experienced quarterback from a college perspective to have won a Super Bowl in the last 25 years is actually Tom Brady.
Wow.
And, that should tell you everything that you need to know about what you need coming into the league. And obviously fit, like you were talking about with the Jets, fit and organization are obviously going to impact that as well. But your experience and maturity level is a big factor in that. And so I would also, if Dante Moore called me today and he said, hey, what should I do? I wouldn't blink an eye. I would say, go back to school, because it's no longer just a financial decision. He can make life-changing money at Oregon, much less the National Football League, and getting extra starts prepares you for what you could potentially have, which is a long NFL career, because you want to get to the second contract. That's when it's really matters for you in the National Football League. And we're starting to see, by the way, in the last couple of years, experience at that position and experienced teams in general are the ones that are winning in the postseason. Look at Indiana. They've got experience. Look at Ohio State last year, Michigan the year before. Experience at the quarterback position, experience across the line of scrimmage. That's what's ultimately winning out right now in college football.
Well, Bo Nix had 61 college starts. So Sean Payton, it's not a coincidence that when he got to Denver, Sean Payton said, here's the entire playbook. Andrew Luck, 3 years, 4 years at Stanford, 3 years. Like when he came into the league, they're like, okay, here's the entire playbook. We don't have to babysit you. So it not only helps you in college, but by the time you get to the NFL, Bo Nix had 4 or 5 different coordinators in college. He was like a pro in college. So I love that.
Well, and Mahomes had a ton of starts. Matthew Stafford had a ton of starts. Look at what he's doing. There's a good chance he's going to win the MVP. So this has borne out. This is not a 1 or 2 year sample size. In the National Football League, this has been a 25-year deal where we can look and see who's succeeding in the postseason in particular. And that's why it's easy to say to a guy like Dante Moore or a lot of these quarterbacks, stay in school. And now they're getting paid to do so.
Well, when I watched Alabama and Georgia, my takeaway was those defenses don't have a lot of depth. Yeah. They didn't generate the pass rush without bringing extra people. And my takeaway is college football has officially changed. The SEC has gone 2-7 against non-SEC teams, and that's over Tulane, who lost their coach, and Michigan, that's been a mess for 6 to 8 weeks. I think we have to be honest about this, is that of the 4 teams left, Joel, 3 play real big boy defense, and Ole Miss doesn't. And I just don't. And I think a lot of it, Joel, it's just money. Ohio State can buy both sides. Miami and Oregon can buy both sides of the ball.
I do think it's money. I do think it's experience as well. I think that comes into it, which I was alluding to in that last answer. But think about who lost in the quarterfinals. Ohio State lost in the quarterfinals. Alabama lost in the quarterfinals. Georgia lost in the quarterfinals. And you could make a strong argument that a lot of that was depth related and line of scrimmage related. Like Georgia started losing players on defense. They got banged up on defense. They lost a guy to targeting, and all of a sudden they didn't have what they had 5 and 6 and 7 years ago, which is a 2 deep littered with 5-star players because they could just hoard those guys. They didn't want to go anywhere. So now all of a sudden they don't have the depth that they used to. What would have been a 40-19 Georgia win 7 years ago turned into an Ole Miss win because they were able to make some plays and attack that Georgia defense. Similarly, like Miami was able to invest in a line of scrimmage game that ultimately beat Ohio State. The defensive line for Miami was outstanding. The offensive line for Miami was outstanding. Oregon, very similarly, was able to handle the game at the line of scrimmage and more specifically on defense. This sport has turned into you've got to have a great defense to win in the postseason, and in particular down the stretch when you get to the semifinals and the finals. That's why I think it's going to be tough for Ole Miss. Their defense is ranked 29th in scoring defense. The rest of the participants, Miami is 6th, Oregon is 4th, and Indiana is 2nd in scoring defense. So everybody can play defense right now, and that's ultimately what it comes down to.
So Ole Miss has multiple coaches who are splitting time between LSU and Ole Miss. I think Miami's the better team, significantly better defense. Now that you look, here was my thing on Lane Kiffin. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I have been mobile in my career. I'm not going to tell people not to upgrade. So I don't want to be a hypocrite. That said, I was curious. I said, I'm not so sure Ole Miss couldn't score their way to the national championship game. I think they'd be beaten by a better defense, but they could knock some teams off. Now in the rearview mirror, you look at the mess at Ole Miss. What do you make of Kiffin leaving?
It's a mess. Like you just said, that's the best way to describe it. I said at the time, and I said it on your show, I said it on others, I said it on Big Noon Kickoff right before Michigan, Ohio State. I said that if Lane was ultimately doing all this and making all these decisions in order to compete for a national championship, then all he had to do was look at what's right in front of him, because he was going to have that chance this year with this Ole Miss team, and that's exactly what has panned out. They're just doing it with Pete Golding. Now, he decided to move, and that's fine. Although, like I also said during that time, there are consequences to those decisions. Listen, what I don't think Lane understands is that he's not the victim in this scenario. You know, I think that there's a lot of things going on right now. And what I look at is the player. If I'm Trinidad Chambliss, don't I expect, desire my offensive coordinator to be 100% invested in what's going on with the national semifinal? Yes, that's what I hope for if I'm in that position as a quarterback. And the reality is that's not the case. Now, Lane would tell you that Charlie Weiss has had all the time necessary and hasn't missed a meeting. And don't worry, he's been back and forth to help recruit at LSU and being back there. And it's been a little bit toxic at Ole Miss. All these things, that's what Lane would tell you. But the bottom line is the quickest way to be defeated is be distracted. And you cannot serve two masters, period.
Yeah.
Period. And so the situation sucks for the players. And I'm sure Lane is catching heat from Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is catching heat from Lane, and they're bantering back and forth now, and all of these different things. And all I keep thinking about are the players. The players just want their coaches to be there to help build, support, prepare them for the task at hand. And I don't know if that's taking place right now 100%. And that's unfortunate. And that's one of the reasons why I would pick Miami in this game. The matchup, actually, if you look at it, Ole Miss resembles SMU enough that they can get their quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, on the edge, tire out Bain and Mesidor. Like, the matchup is not bad for Ole Miss. It really isn't.
No.
But you better have an offensive coaching staff, and they better be 100% vested in this game, and that's what you can call into question.
Yeah, I always like underdogs if the underdog is built to play from behind. And we just watched Ole Miss. They're absolutely built to play from behind because then Trinidad Chambliss can do a little off-script stuff. I always think underdogs get in trouble when
they're static.
Ole Miss can throw it if they're forced to or they want to. They're fine throwing the football. So they're built to, be outplayed for 3 quarters and come roaring back and win. And I can't wait to watch. I do like Miami. I think Miami's the most physical, I hate to use the word, but the most violent physical team I've seen. That's what the Buckeyes were last year.
Sure.
And they beat people up physically.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it comes down to two things. Pay attention, obviously, to quarterback play. But here's the deal, Colin. Carson Beck has been allowed to play in manageable third down situations, and he's been brilliant doing so. If he can do that, Miami will succeed.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here. College football on Fox.